At that moment. And I want to tell you, God put right people in the same bus.
Amen. Come on.
Dr. Murray was not necessarily sitting at the back of Diana right through the tour, but God placed him there.
Yes, that's right.
It so happened to be that Diana was in the same bus that I was there.
That's right.
And my wife was in the same bus with us. And I thank God for people like Geraldine, John Shaughnessy and Sue. Give us a wave. Geraldine, give us a wave. God just put different people in the bus who could come immediately and stand in the gap, and Dr. Murray. And I want to tell you, Diana did bring out quite a bit. She started vomiting quite a bit after she came back to life. And I thank God that the Lord placed Dr. Murray in that place, because then we needed medical assistance to stabilize her. But the Lord gave me a word and He said, Diana had an assignment to carry out in Israel, and the devil wanted to kill her in Israel.
That's right.
So don't stop anywhere in Israel. Make your way all the way to Jordan, cross the Jordanian-Israel border, and then look for medical attention to stabilize her, because she needed, the drip, or say, if that would be right, doctor? Yeah. And so we praying, standing by her. The bus did not stop. The bus kept rolling all the way to the Israeli border. And brother, do you want to share what happened at the border then? What happened,
Yeah, I guess for a lot of people, probably seeing Diana come back, it was a good thing. I'll just reassure you there. But I guess being so sick afterwards, and I think the fellow alluded to it earlier, that vomiting and diarrhoea after a heart attack, you do lose potassium, and it is very important that your potassium levels are normal. So it was of great concern to me, and I was very keen to see the bus turn around and go to the hospitals, because Israel does have very good hospitals. They are blessed.
Amen.
Because Pastor Daniel had said that she had to get across the border into Jordan, who am I to question? And I did say to Pastor Danny when I was about to stamp my foot and say we will go to the hospital, I said, look, I will place myself under your authority and under the authority of Jesus Christ.
Praise God.
As the
Praise God.
Because that has implications. If you're the only doctor in charge, that's a huge responsibility. And then, but if he started a heart better than I did. So, and Jesus actually did that, I must say. Jesus did that, and that is so important. So it was very important that she got across the border, and I was mindful of this, and those three conditions could have easily, if they could have said no, send her back to Israel, and I couldn't let that happen. Put in an ambulance and went across to the other side. But the fearful thing, the interesting thing was that I thought I had told a Catch the Fire ministry person that those were the three things that I thought she had wrong with her, and the guard was relaying those three things through to me. And it really did feel like somebody was eavesdropping on that and trying to get the guard to send her back. So we crossed over to the border. She had some fluids. They had a medical clinic there, which probably has as much medical equipment in it as this place does. And have the best hospitals in Jordan, and the doctor there asked me what I thought was wrong with her, and I said, of course, being a Western doctor, it gives you some privileges to run the show. So he said, what do you think's wrong with her? I said, I think she's got gastro. So he said, okay, yes, so we'll give her some fluids. I said, that's a great idea. We'll give her some Max. I said, that's an excellent idea. We'll give her some buscopan. I said, fantastic idea. So we put some fluids up, and I just didn't want him to do an ECG, because if he did that and found something wrong, she might have gone back to Israel, because at this point we had not crossed our passport. We'd crossed a border, but our passports were yet to come. The issue is that over that period of time, she got a lot better, and in the hour it took for the fluids to go through, she pretty much, the buses, everybody had cleared the checkpoint, come through. I never did get my duty-free money back. And she walked out, effectively, with the help of John Shaughnessy, she walked out with a drip attached and hopped back in the bus. And yeah, we only had to suffer through a discussion on the vagaries of eating hummus in Jordan in summer. And don't do that again, doctor, because it gives you food poisoning. So we were all pretty happy with that at the end of the day, as a diagnosis.
Praise God, wonderful, thank you, Jesus.
In the morning, and I think this is really important, in the morning at breakfast, I said happy birthday to someone. It was John, and he'd had a dream in the night, and he gave me a word about my future. So when all this happened to me, I didn't know what was happening, but everything went dark, and a deep voice said, wasn't God, "You're going to die in Israel." And I answered back and said, that can't be right. I had a word about my future this morning. It kind of, I don't know what it did, but it was very important. So I just want to stress the importance of when we get even when we don't get a word for someone, to ask for a word for someone, because it's powerful, isn't it? And it kind of helped me out of the situation. And then I heard Pastor Daniel saying, "Come back. Look at me," he said in a very stern voice, so I did.
Praise God. Well, we were thinking that the tour of Israel was such a great tour and that the fun is ended. We were yet to have the deserts, or the deserts as you would say. I call it the desert. But we were about to have the chocolate coating on the cake on our way back, and we just thank the Lord that the Lord brought back life in Diana. Because this is a living testimony. You know what excites me is that I just thank the Lord that we were in 2 tombs where people were raised from the dead. And we had the opportunity of raising a person from the dead in Israeli territory. Can we give God the glory? Praise God. Praise God. Praise God. Thank you, Lord. Praise God. Thank you. May be seated. Now, I just want to say a big thank you to Dr. Murray, because I'll tell you, this testimony would have not got published in the Age newspaper, first by God's grace, and secondly because they had a doctor confirming that this was true. Thus we got such a good coverage in the Age newspaper yesterday, because they made the sacrifice of flying down from Western Australia and from Wagga. The Age took more interest in doing interviews with them, and literally hundreds of thousands of our fellow Aussies have read the powerful testimony of Jesus raising a woman from the dead. Thank you, Murray. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Diana, we love you so much. Thank you for coming. I just want to say by the closing, we all got into the Jordanian Airlines, and now we were heading back to Colombo, Sri Lanka. And I thought I must go and see where Diana was and Dr. John was. Sorry, Dr. Mara, I keep saying Dr. John because Dr. John is one of our mates in the ministry here, praise God. So, I went to look for Diana. Guess what? She was fast asleep. Went to see Dr. Murray, and I sat next to him and I noticed that Murray seemed very overwhelmed at that moment.
I was calculating the bill.
So, correct me if I'm wrong here. I remember asking him, "How are you doing, brother?" And his words to me was sort of something like he said, "Who am I to be with you guys? You guys pray so much. I feel so little, sort of, because I don't pray as much as you guys." Then he said, "My wife prays in tongues, but I don't." And I said, brother, you can pray in tongues right now. Now, of course, Dr. Murray, coming from a Baptist church, it was a bit of a shock for him. So he sort of looked at me and he sort of said, yeah, sort of, that's all right, maybe another time, maybe. But maybe myself, I remember kneeling.
We were near an air exit then and too.
I remember kneeling by his side on the middle aisle and holding his hand and saying, brother, you can do it. Brother, you tell us something about what happened just at that moment.
Yeah, it's true. I learned how to speak in tongues, but I don't dance.
Tonight is the night. He got baptized in the Holy Spirit in the Jordanian Airlines and started praying in tongues for the first time.
Praise God.
And when I called him a few weeks later, he said he can't stop praying in tongues. And that Lord is opening so many doors for my brother to share his testimony in so many different forums, in churches and so on.
Look, I've had quite a few opportunities in little old Geraldton, which is the centre of your iron ore boom that we're having at the moment. Yeah, little old Geraldton. I've had an opportunity to share the testimony, and prayer meetings in our church have gone from 3 people on a Wednesday night to 50 and between 35 to 50.
Wow, praise God.
And I have had opportunities to speak at the CWA annual meeting for Western Australia, and
What is the CWA stand for?
the Country Women's Association.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I've been able to share with them. I think I went over most of their heads, but there's horses for courses. It's not biblical though.